Mad Libs. Everybody's favorite game growing up, aside from Monopoly, which totally brought families together and didn't throw them into fiery pits of despair, betrayal, and bullshit. Anyway, you put words into a thing, mush them together, and out comes gold. I thought that sounded like fun. And it could be even more fun, because nobody's ever drawn the pictures. At least not in my family. I mean, we were in the car, you don't really have any way to do that. So I thought, okay, well, let's do that. Because I want to. First, I had to figure out what kind of prompt generator thingy I wanted to use. I found one that created book synopses and randomly generated a cover picture, and I thought, that's stupid. I want to draw the cover myself, which I can put the characters that this generator is going to spit out on it. That sounds amazing. Let's do it. So I did. Boogie Gumped. Glossy, snotty, stinky, round, broken, broke, crackty, friendly, rubber-bubbery, spindly, windy, garish, opaque, bouncy, inky. As far as the perfect place for our rumpet to live, I know we were all thinking of the same thing. Wumbler. And it's common knowledge that every wumbler should be filled to the brim with rumpet. Stid. Sim. Stewie. Stew. Stibjucket. Frogs. Mini badgers. Legworms. Bucket. Rice granule. Granules. Fortitude. Egg sitter. Toe stubbing of 48. Retching, itching. Boogy the Rumpit. In a wumbler, there lived a garish, opaque rumpet named Boogy. Not a glossy, snotty, stinky wumbler filled with eggs and a craggy smell, nor yet a friendly, rubbery, spindly wumbler with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a rumpet wumbler, and that means darkness. One day, after a troubling visit from the Stime-Juket Gumped, Boogy leaves his wumbler and sets out in search of 3 round rice granules. A quest undertaken in the company of frogs, mini badgers, and inky legworms. In search for the Stime-Juket guarded rice granules, Boogy surprises even himself with his fortitude and skill as an egg sitter. During his travels, Boogy rescues a bucket, an heirloom belonging to Gumped. But when Gumped refuses to try itching, their friendship is over. Friendshipped? Shipped? The ship has sailed. However, Gumped is wounded at the Battle of Toe Stubbing of 48, and the two reconcile just before Boogy engages in some serious itching. Boogy accepts one of the 3 round rice granules and returns home to his wumbler, a very wealthy rumpet. Yeah. So now that we got all that, I guess we just have to create all of these crazy things. I thought that it would be important to start off with the wumbler, because, I mean, that's where Boogy the Rumpit lives, and that's just super important. But then I realized I don't want to draw an entire interior, and just because it's mentioned in the synopsis and comes up in the beginning and the end of the movie doesn't mean anything. A book, not movie. So yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't want to do it, so I didn't do it. Wumbler aside, I did immediately want to get into drawing this Boogy guy, because scratching was in my mind, and opaque. So I tried to make him, and garish. Those words were in my mind when I was trying to draw him, and I didn't know how I was going to do that. I just kind of knew I wanted him to be like an anti-hero, a grumpy thing that was like a bean, kind of bean-shaped, and somehow garish. So I shaped him very scratchily, and I didn't expect to love him so much, but needless to say, look at that face. I ended up way happier with this than I thought I would. I had no idea what I was doing, which is the best part about art. And yeah, I was excited. Wasn't sure what I was gonna do for color. I ended up doing all of the coloring at the very end after drawing everything, but I put them in order of character for your convenience. You're welcome. Yes. Witness the struggle. The struggle of finding what a garish rumpet named Boogy would be colored. An arm rave. The hue bar is one of my favorites. You just play around with colors until you're happy. And I decided red. Because I wanted to do green, but I kept thinking about Shrek and Mike Wazowski. So I did red. Which gave me jelly bean vibes. Oh, so Rumpets don't have to wear clothes, but I figured that he would. Oh my god, my favorite. Okay, I love frogs. I love drawing frogs. This frog I didn't like where that was going. But I kept him anyway because I really liked his wide stance. This guy. I googled silly frogs and I had a vision and I was inspired. There's like a frog with teeth and I loved it. And I was like, okay, I gotta do a frog with legs. And I mean, this frog was too inspirational. He was too happy, too great, too inspired. So I decided to give up on him and go back to the frog of my dreams. This wide, lumpy cookie of a boy with teethers. Look at them leggies. Look at them chunky leggies. It's a big chunky frog. Look at those eyes. Look at it. Look at that boy. Look at him go. Goodness. The other two did not stand a chance in his presence, so I had to get good. I had to adapt. I came up with this little guy. He's pretty great too. I love him. There's nothing more adorable than alien toes, right? Gotta have just the right amount of scary in there. That's how you make things cute. You make them unsettling. Okay, so I drew that and I thought his mouth was open, like doing that kind of breathing, but then my wife's like, oh, I love his little tongue, and I lost it, because I'm like, you're right, it's totally a blep. So there's my blep frog, and my derp frog. Give them names. They demand names. Okay, coloring is hard. I suck at coloring everything. I didn't know what colors to give them. Green just feels monopolized by Shrek and Mike Wazowski. So it feels wrong to make anything green. But at the same time, green's a creatively pleasant color, so I had to use it. Mini badgers. I looked up what a badger was, and I was disgusted by how long and flat they were. And I was like, how am I going to miniaturize these things? They're so lame. And the only thing I could think about was if you put a blanket over them, because they're so hideously ugly. And then I was like, giving them centipede legs would make them so cute and friendly and welcoming. So that's what I did. Now, our mini badgers are little ghostly friends that scuttle through the air with their tiny legs, and they give moral support with their definitely eyes and not tiny holes in the head that is definitely a badger head, and not a growth tumor on the body of a strange bipedal centipede thing. Yeah. It's charming. Badger colors were perfectly ghostly enough on their own, and that's why I kept them. I also think that their eye triangles are pretty cool. Kind of looks like somebody cut the ears off of another creature and put them into the head of a totally different creature. So I thought that was cool, and I liked it, and I kept it, and I thought it was cool. Inky legworms. I don't know why I did this, but I just wanted to make the worms from an anime. Like, what's it called? The one with the demons? Demon Slayer, yeah. And Jojo. And the other cool ones that are hip and rad with the youngsters. I'm gonna be 100% honest. There's one episode of Joe's Bizarre Adventure that was too bizarre for even me, and I can never. I'm already afraid of orangutans. Okay, if you know, you know. That episode was just wrong on way too many levels, and I can't watch the show anymore. I have PTSD. Anyway. Worms. Inky legworms. I just decided to give the worms legs. I know the first visual is like black, gooey worms crawling on people's legs, but I thought inky legworms sounded like a cool anime band, and I was gonna make them stereotypical main characters. That one has a sword. It's cool. This worm is long and flowy and has legs, like all the others. But she has heels. And some of the worms are more longer than the other worms, and that makes them more special. See, this other one on the right is brooding and sad. She's shorter than our main worm who was running at the camera, and she's a sad princess worm. I forgot how to draw anime eyes, so I had to go over there and draw it and put it on her face. I have nothing good to say, except for that they all look kind of like fingers at the top, and that really is funny to me. The stance, the wide stance, is prominent. The horse stance, this worm is obviously the strong one. Or is he? Are they? Maybe they are. Somebody write the plot for this. This could be anything. There's so many possibilities. These inky legworms are an adventure of their own. Have a book about them alone. Maybe there's a love triangle. Maybe the two boys in our front here are a couple. But he's on the lightworm side, and our brooding chap-wearing fellow is the dark inky legworm. And pasty pale princess worm is a stereotype. Sometimes I really hate coloring, but these guys were fun to color. They were just so random. Frustratingly, these took me the longest. A lot of these drawings only took me like 15 minutes, but this one took me like 45 because of how detailed I decided to make it and the coloring. So that was kind of lame, but still fun. Okay. We've got our other protagonist here. I already forgot his name. Gumped. I remembered it instantly. No idea what to do. I had no idea what to do. That's why I saved Gumped for last. And then I just started drawing, and I freaking loved the rotund tummy, and the little sumo boobies, and then his big dinosaur head, and his little feather tail. I love him, and I gave him inverted toe sockets because everybody needs one. He could fit all kinds of mysterious things in his toe sockets. Could you imagine getting kicked in the head with one of those? Do you know one of the prints that would be left on your face? He could do some serious damage. Okay? And those, like, featherless chicken arms with the spikes on the top? Come on, he's practically a unicorn. Look at this guy. He's amazing. He's got tiny ear holes. He doesn't listen very good. But them eyes, though, he could definitely find the grassiest plains. And he could nom and crunch. Oh, coloring is hard. I had to make him green because Boogie was red and I wanted them to be complementary. Oh yeah, the shading assist. I always try to use the shading assist. Like, I'm gonna use that. It's gonna be so helpful. And then it sucks ass and I don't use it. Except for sometimes I use the colors that it generates. But anyway. I also almost made his spiky bits, little bone bits blue because I thought having blue bones was cool. But I made them yellow because they just stood out better against the green. And then I gave him a little texture because he's our special guy. He's our special little gump. Yeah. That was all of them. I did it. And now we gotta put them on the cover of a book. I loaded all of them onto one thing. And then I started to move them around and put them in their rightful place. Obviously, Boogie and Gumped go in the front, but I wanted to put our frog boys behind them because maybe they were their best friends. Maybe they're like Merry and Pippin. And the guys in the front are not Frodo and Sam, kind of. Rice granules were like the whole point of the story. Had to put them there. Also, I cut that worm apart and I made him more on the top because being in the background, you can't really see their legs, which is sad because they're leg worms, but you know, you win some, you lose some. People get the point. I also made the rice granules. I thought it was so clever having them like ascending from the background into the foreground. I was like, oh my god, everybody's eye is gonna be drawn. It's gonna be so beautiful. Honestly, though, you can't really tell. Yeah, I'm really bad at this, and it wasn't fun to do because I was stressed the whole time. And then the mini badgers, I was like, I better make a mini. And I had wished that I drew like 80 more of them because having like 100 of them swarming the whole thing would have been really great in hindsight. I don't know why I didn't do that. The bucket, because that's so important. It's Gumped special secret heirloom treasure. Trying to bring them into the front. Oh yeah. Oh, the title! God. Type font is hard to make look good. I just thought that having it as awful as possible would definitely fit the aesthetic, and I went with it. I was like, let's make it as garish as a Boogie. And so I added lasers and clouds. That I really had no idea what I was doing. I just tried to make the character stand out, and I wanted to give it the aesthetic of a shiny book in a bookstore that you saw and you were like, you know what, this is so weird that I have to read it. I need to know what's going on. What the fuck are these things? I need to discover the answers. So that's what we did. That's what I did. We did it. Huzzah. A search for 3 round rice granules was always going to be compelling. The addition of frogs, mini badgers, and legworms just makes it even more awesome. I love Gumped. I would have liked to have seen more of him. OMG, it's like Lord of the Rings with added mini badgers. About as enjoyable as eating my own toes. I wish Gumped had kept refusing to do any itching. The whole thing would have been a lot shorter. I don't know what the fuck to say. Outros suck! Fuck you! Love you, bye. Goodbye, thanks for watching. Have a happy New Year.